Okay, so a couple of things that I thought were really important, at least to me, when we were talking, or when they were talking, is the power of networking, right? Like networking is, there's a saying, it's not what you know, but who you know. And the games industry is a little bit of kind of both of those things. You obviously have to kind of know some stuff, but knowing people is also very powerful. And how do you get to know people, right? How do you get to know people in the industry? Well, you got to get out and go meet people, okay? You got to go to events. You got to, there's only so many gaming events, right? There's the IGDA, there's some other ones here in town, but there are other networking events that happen all the time. There's, hiring networking events versus general hiring. There's tech networking events. There's crypto networking events. And so oftentimes what I tell my students is just go. And these guys kind of told their story, and I'll just give you a brief of my story. When I graduated from college, we were in a recession, okay? And so hiring was like really bad. And I was applying, wasn't getting any traction. And what ended up happening was my mom, I was living at home with my parents, and my mom was like, what are you doing? What's going on? She was like, listen, I just need you to go, get out of the house, right? So she sent me to a church job networking event, okay? And there were probably like 15 people there. And I was like, Mom, I was in Houston, Texas, okay? There's like 2 game companies in Houston, Texas, right? And I was like, Mom, there's no way there's going to be anybody there worth networking with, right? So I go to this church networking event, and everybody stands up, and it's this guy, he's in oil and gas. He's like, I've been in oil and gas for 22 years, and I'm a senior manager, whatever. Another guy got up, and it was all oil and gas, right? And then I get up, and I'm like, I'm a computer animator, and I went to art school, and I want to go work for Pixar, or whatever. And like, they were all like, who the heck is this guy? Like, you don't belong here, like, go to California, or wherever. And long story short, after the event happened, some guy walked up to me and said, hey, I happen to know a guy who owns an animation studio here in Houston, Texas. And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, I don't know if it's going to be anything, but look, here's his number. I called the guy up, I went to go see him. He didn't have a job for me or anything, but he goes, I know somebody in Dallas who's hiring, and they're working on a big project. I'm going to hook you up with them. And so I called that guy up, and he was like, you need to come down here and interview. So I shot up to Dallas, I interviewed, ended up doing an animation test, I got the job, and it was on fire from there. Okay? So like, there's also another saying, it's like the 7 connections to Kevin Bacon or something.
6 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
The 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon or something. Everybody knows somebody who knows somebody. Okay? Another story I want to tell, Rachel Cuevas.
Yeah.
Rachel Cuevas, she's a wonderful, you know who she is?
Yeah.
The one that got away. He's so funny. I'll let you tell it. But basically, Rachel was a student of ours. She was here, and she told me, she came to my class one time, and she goes, oh my gosh, something amazing just happened. I said, what? She goes, I was at a wedding this weekend, and I met the CEO of, I think it was Bonus XP, or I can't remember what the name of the company was.
My sister used to work for Bonus XP.
Might have been Bonus, I don't remember what it was, but she met the CEO of a game company at a wedding on a weekend, and she walked right up to the guy and she said, give me an internship. And the guy was like, here's my card, call me Monday. And she did, and she got an internship. And then she worked her way into a contract position there, and then it was like, I think she ended up leaving that company and going and working for Gearbox for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then she went off to Sony, and now she's at Blizzard or wherever the heck she's at.
She's at Beyond Effects now.
Beyond Effects. Yeah, and so it's like, you just need to like network, meet
Andy
people.
Pitchford and I had the same hairdresser for a long time.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, just gotta shake hands and stuff. Let's see, what else? Oh, this is another thing that's interesting. So a lot of these guys were talking about, I started as an animator in the games industry. I changed my career to producer, and then I was an owner of a company, Okay, so like a lot of these guys were talking about that too. Somebody started in art and then was producer and whatever. You know, guys, just get in. You know, like find an easy way to get in. Ash was talking about how visual effects is a great way to get in because there's not a lot of visual effects artists. They're always hiring for it.
Tech artists.
Tech artists. I mean, you don't necessarily have to get in as a game tester. It doesn't matter. Just get your foot in the door somewhere. Most people in the games industry, you know, will get in and they'll be like, you know, I like to do this. I know people who were level designers who I worked with who were programmers that became level designers and level designers that became programmers and programmers that became artists while they were working at the company. They're just like, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to do this. And they, you know, they work at it a little while and then they kind of reapply and they do that. I mean, it's just, it's crazy. So don't worry about like, oh, I have to be a level designer, I have to be this, I have to be that. You may change. I hope you change because change is growth, right? Okay. Let's see. They also mentioned about being let go. My first job I was let go from as well. I was there for a very short time, but my next job was better, and my next job was better. Okay, it's always gonna be like a step up, right? Like raise your hand, somebody who has made a change in their life, and it was like, you know, for the worst. Probably very few people. Raise your hand if you had a change in your life and it's been for the better. Let me see some hands. There you go. Okay, don't worry about getting laid off. All right, you're always going to find yourself in a better situation. And let's see. Another thing that I want to say about these guys, because they're awesome, is that these guys can come up in here and they can talk to you for an hour, 2 hours, and you're still not going to know. They're still not going to be able to teach you everything that they know. Okay, it's just there's just not enough time in the day because they have decades and decades of experience. Okay, and when you meet people like that, it's really good. It's really good to know people like that because they just have like an infinite supply of information to give you. Like she could probably talk about producing and managing projects forever until you guys are so bored that you just, you know. And Ashley could talk about VFX until, you know, the end of the world.
Until I just make the meeting end at work.
Yeah, so like, anyway, that's kind of what I wanted to say. So, anyway, really happy you guys are here. Do you want to go first? Do short-folio stuff? Okay.
All right, so basically, I was just going to quickly talk about resumes and should I do the PowerPoint thing that I brought?
Whatever you want.
Okay. Where's the USB for this?
It's in a. It's down here.
Yeah, I'm doing one, but I'll take it.
Thank you.
All right, so we're going to be talking about all this stuff later, but I just wanted to run through a real quick PowerPoint that I have. It's very corny because I don't do PowerPoints, but basically it's about finding a job. So finding a career in game dev. Now, when you first start out with game development, you want to have a demo reel. This is coming from the art side, and as far as like
Hit F5.
what?
Hit F5.
F5. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Okay.
That's why you need a producer.
I have done this before, I swear. No, so this is coming from the art side of things, mostly because I don't know programming, I don't know code, production. Like I do not know about this area. So I will, for those of you who are interested in going into the art side of game development, this is where this is coming from. But when you do start out, if you are an artist, animator, modeler, whatever, you want to have a portfolio / demo reel. 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes max, okay? When you're first making a demo reel, if you don't have much, if your demo reel is 30 seconds long, perfect. don't fill it with stuff that does not need to be in there. All right. I would prefer to see a 30-second demo reel of your best stuff than 2 minutes of just filler content. Because filler content just shows me, oh, this person doesn't have much to do, so they're just going to just show everything. Make it precise. Make it your best foot forward, your best work. Boom. Put it in there. Spend a lot of time on it. This is the thing that's going to get you a job. All right, this is what you're presenting to studios, to companies, to people that will be paying you lots and lots of money. Put a lot of work into this thing. Don't just put it together and go, I'm done. Okay? There's a lot of video editing software out there. Use it. Make this thing good. Make it awesome. Spend a lot of time on it. And like I said earlier, show only your best work. Don't just use filler content. Okay? The best stuff you have, throw it in there. Depending on the type of job you're going into, so for example, from a VFX perspective, because a lot of times VFX will involve full-on done scenes that are properly lit, there's models in there, animations and all that. I like to add in a shot breakdown of saying, this is what I did. At 1 minute, 3 seconds, boom, this is what I did. You can even put the shot breakdown in the actual demo reel while it's going on. When the shot comes up, say, I made blank model, I did X effect. It's just so whoever's looking at your reel can go, all right, cool, this is what they made. And they don't hire you thinking, well, you made this really cool thing. And you're like, no, I just made the thing, and I made the pot in the corner. And they're like, okay, well, we're interviewing you for the wrong reason. Okay, so put in a shot breakdown. Let them know what you made in that shot, and try to update it at least once a year. So this is mostly for when you are starting out. You're going to be creating a lot of stuff. Try to get this thing updated. Okay, especially if you're still applying. You're still learning things. You're still advancing your skills. Don't keep a 3-year-old demo reel when you just starting out and you're sending that out to studios. Like, that's not cool. Keep this thing up at least once a year, every 6 months if you can, even better. Okay, just keep it updated. Now, music, not necessary, but it's fine if you want to put music in your demo reel. I like to use music only because it helps me get a rhythm to my reel. It makes me kind of easier to edit it. I will tell you the truth, when I am personally looking at a demo reel, it's on mute. Because honestly, I don't care what your favorite song is. I just want to see your work. All right. So if music makes you happy, put it in there. It's fine. Just know that no one's going to be listening to your music. So don't spend a lot of time thinking, oh, this is going to be the coolest song ever. Honestly, I don't care. I just want to see your work. So with that,
If you're an audio person, then you should probably have.
Yeah, unless you're an audio. Yeah, definitely put music in there. For the resume, also I brought my demo reel if you guys want to see it. Maybe I'll show it later.
Woo, yes.
It's the one that's like 4 years old because I have a job, so I don't really need to update it. But that's
Yeah, Ash doesn't need to update that. Just don't worry about it, Ash. You don't ever need to redo any of that. You're stuck with us.
so the resume. Obviously, you're gonna need a resume. My recommendation is 2 pages max. Once again, don't add filler. Okay. I don't need to see that you worked at Costco for 6 years. It's not relevant to game development. Only put stuff in that is relevant. If you worked on a game at school, put that in there. If you worked in a team project, put that in there. Like I said, if you worked at Costco, don't put that in there. Unless you're going for management and you were management at Costco and you're trying to be management at work, at the studio, hey, put that in there because that's relevant, all right?
I will say, if you are entry level and like you want to get into like production or something, I have hired people because they did work at like a Costco and they had transferable skills that were useful.
Yeah.
So like it depends on the role, but like if you are entry level and you're like, I've never done anything in video games before, like volunteer work, Costco, whatever.
Yeah.
But that's like entry level stuff. Like this is your very first industry job. Once you get to like a higher level than that, or if you're going to be an artist, I don't necessarily think that that's important. But in production, like I look at it and I'm like,
Yeah.
I like that.
So this is my resume. I haven't updated this thing in a while, I updated it yesterday because
What?
I was coming in here.
Oh, okay.
So I will say, so for example, my resume, it's 2 pages. It has my education, my professional experience. My resume is very boring because they should be boring. Okay, when you're giving a resume, like I don't really care if you're going to put a bunch of graphics in there. Like it's not really going to impress me. I would prefer if you did not put your picture in there because like I said, I'm just looking at what you need, what you're kind of showing me. Okay, so as you can see, you have my education, I have my professional experience starting from where I am now all the way down to where my first job was, and within the professional experience, you can see that I have my bullet points of what I'm actually doing. Okay, what I did at the job, what I, if there was anything that was special about that job, put in a couple things in there that says like, this is what I did, so I'll look at it and go, all right, cool, well then there's that person. If you have games that you have shipped, projects that you've put on, put them in there. One thing I want to take note of, if you are, you can see Borderlands 4 in there. The only reason I have that in there is because that game has already been announced, all right? I have not put a date on there because we don't really have a date. But if you are working on a project and it's secret and it's not announced yet, don't put that in your demo reel. Don't put that in your resume. Definitely don't put it in your demo reel. Because you should not say, hey, guess what? There's my secret project that I'm working on. It's not announced, but here it is. Okay, you're announcing it. That's also, most likely you're under an NDA, and it's a bad thing. So
Let's say you worked on a project for like 3 years and you left that company and then you got like a 3-year gap in your resume and they haven't released the game yet. You can put like unannounced title,
yeah,
but only if that's like a significant gap in your resume and recruiters would be like, all right, what did this person do for 3 years? Just like, I worked on an unannounced project.
yeah. We understand. Like
Yeah.
the studios understand NDAs. We get it. But like I said, don't put something on your demo reel or your resume that has not been announced yet. Okay, especially if you're working at a studio, especially when you're starting out.
Actually, demo reel, do not put unannounced. Actually, you need permission for what you can put in your demo reel from the studio that you're working at. Like Ash has to get approval. So don't put anything on your demo reel unless you've got approval from someone at the studio who can give you permission. Because the last thing you want to do is put behind the scenes content on there and then that's the whole thing that I get to deal with. So
Yeah.
don't do that.
That's like once you actually get in the industry and you're working on stuff. One thing I also recommend is putting the experience that you have with software and just kind of anything relevant. One thing at the bottom you'll see I have references. That's just if you want references, ask me. I don't like putting people's information on my resume just because that's private to them. I just say if you want some references, ask me. Also, one thing up at the top here, I like to put my area. Okay, you don't put your address because you're just doxing yourself. But you can't put the area because the reason is, like we said earlier, some studios only hire locally. Some studios will hire remotely. But this also lets the studio know, oh, this person's right down the street. That might be a plus because they're looking for someone local. So that's my thing. I have my LinkedIn profile, my ArtStation profile in there. So the studio can say, cool, this is where I need to go to see this person's work. All right, going back to the PowerPoint.
Can we see your ArtStation?
Yeah.
Ash, you better have sign off and all that stuff. Found it. Who comments on hip hop radio?
Are they supposed to be working?
Yeah, go get to work, people. They're just like shouting into the void.
Actually, can you explain what ArtStation is? Somebody.
Okay, so ArtStation is basically a giant dump of artwork that artists can just log in and just put their stuff up for free. So I always recommend, if you're building a portfolio, put your ArtStation in there. Use ArtStation. Like, if you want to have your own website URL, hey, that's fine. Like, I used to use Squarespace because I wanted to build my own stuff. ArtStation is fine. I've seen a lot of professional portfolios from ArtStation. It's 100% cool.
Actually, what specialities would have a portfolio on ArtStation?
Concept art, VFX, modeling is very high up there. I see.
Animation, can you do videos on ArtStation?
You can do videos, yeah. Yeah, I see a lot of animation and concept art mostly on ArtStation. Plus, studios will do art dumps on ArtStation, which is really nice.
Would a producer have an ArtStation?
Lou, do you think?
No. Well, I've never had one, but I think I've had producers that okay, so this is interesting. So I get really nervous when I have a producer candidate have like an art station that's just full of like concept art or something like that. Because when I'm hiring producers, I want them to be producers for at least a few years. And what some people do, and it's not great, is they'll try and use production as like a stepping stone to like a level design or something like that, which is fine. But like, you gotta give me at least a project in production. So, you know, when I interview people, I'm like, hey, I see you've submitted a portfolio, like, are you interested in an art position one day or something like that? I think every studio is gonna be different. At a smaller studio, I think that's fine, but with like Gearbox, and how it's like, production is a really big part of the machine of what we do. And it's like, I need producers who are gonna be producers for a long time. Now, we've had producers move out into like level design and things like that, but yeah, it's a little bit of a flag for me, and I will ask about it. I'm like, hey, I see you have a portfolio, like, are you interested in being an artist one day or something like that? And if their answer is yes, like, again, it's not an automatic no from me, but it's still like, I do have to figure out, like, are they dedicated to production, at least for like 3 or 4 years. So, it's not an immediate no. I have seen some producers have it, but it usually raises like my eyebrow a little bit to be like, oh, what's going on? But then again, like so many people move to production from other things. I'd say it's neither here nor there for production, but I don't have one.
Okay. So this is my art station. As you can see, it's a kind of collaboration or collection of just effects that I've made throughout the years. Mostly Borderlands stuff. Some stuff that I made just on my own, just like learning, starting out. There's let me see, I'll soon find my demo reel. So the way I've set this up is if someone were to come to this website and say, okay, what's this person do? Like, well, I'm hiring them. How do I know what they do? So I've broken it down between everything I've done on Borderlands 3, the work I did on Wonderlands, and my demo reels, just so we can be like, boom, here's everything, this is the stuff. Now, like I said, my demo reels are very old. I only have, this is my very first demo reel from my game, my video game. When I work at Cryptic on.
Oh my God, is that Papyrus?
Yeah, told you.
Ash, I'm
This is
gonna put you
old.
on a pip for that. Oh my God.
This is like 15 years
You
old.
come up with Papyrus on a.
Like,
oh my
did.
God.
So as you can see, this is just me first learning, and I like to keep the older demo reels up because it shows a progression. It's like, this is where they used to be versus what they're doing now. Now we're not going to watch this whole thing because it's terrible and I hate it.
The game is fun.
But the game is fun. I did enjoy it.
Yeah, I play it every now and then.
If I saw Papyrus, I would just back out of that. I'd just be like, no, this person is a maniac.
Then you got like my Battleborn demo reel, my Borderlands 3 demo reel, which is the most recent one. Oh God, this is the one with the terrible music. So here's the thing about YouTube is they will take your video down if you use licensed music. So I recommend using Vimeo if you want to put music in your stuff. There is unlicensed music out there. It's not that great, but it will let you put a video on YouTube for purposes like this. So that's really it.
Ash, all the things you're showing are things that I helped produce, just so we all know. The trailer, the first 15 minutes of the game. Obviously, you had a really positive effect on your work, what I'm saying.
Alright, so we don't need to watch this whole thing. But if you want to look at my art station, I am up there. Alright, back to here. Where are we?
Ash, are there things that you shouldn't put in a demo reel?
You should not put anything that is under NDA. Is my number one bullet point on that. Don't put in stuff that you're not proud of or you don't think is finished. Don't put in work that is not yours. That is another thing. Like, do not try to pass off work that is not yours. If you have done work from a tutorial, do not put that in. But it is okay to use a tutorial as inspiration. Okay? there's a big distinct difference there. I have been given resumes and seen portfolios of work that has been straight from a tutorial. Hey, if you want to learn the tutorial to learn the stuff, that's fine, but that's someone else's work. Like all you're showing is that you can follow directions and copy. Using the tutorial as inspiration and taking whatever you've done from that farther, that's fine, okay? I don't mind seeing that.
We were doing an interview debrief a few years ago, and one of the other VFX artists was like, the candidate had already left the interview or whatever, and one of the other VFX artists was like, hey, that's a tutorial, and we went to go look at the tutorial, because the VFX artists look at all the tutorials, or a lot of tutorials, and we're like, it's just exactly the same thing, so that candidate was a no.
Yeah.
Like,
Like, I don't want to know that you can copy. Like I'm not interested in that. So going back to the resume, only put the needed information in there. Like I mentioned earlier, like we don't really need your address. Just if you want to give the location, that's fine. Phone number, it's up to you. Okay. Most likely the website that you apply to is going to ask for a phone number anyways. But if you're putting your phone number on your resume and you're putting your resume on your website, you just gave the world your phone number. So that's up to you. If you have a business number, hey, that's fine too. You use that. But I would highly recommend not putting your personal phone number on your resume.
There's also a lot of scams going on at the moment with video game industry, like hiring and stuff. So Gearbox has a little note on our page about like, hey, if you get an unsolicited thing or something, be careful. But so always make sure that you're going to the right place to apply, because there are scams out there, and they'll ask you like, hey, well, when you sign up, you're going to need to give us like $300 or something. Like, what? No one will ever ask you for money.
Yeah,
So
that's weird.
just be careful when applying for your
That is weird.
right place.
And also display your skills, like I showed you in the bottom of my resume, like software that you know. If you have any awards that you've won, throw those in there. Games that you worked on, group projects, things like that. Your contact information, email. Definitely email. Okay, that's always a good one. Your website. If you have a website, put that in your resume. You know, your ArtStation, whatever. If you have a LinkedIn profile, use that as well. But definitely have a way for the studio to contact you by your resume. But also, like I said, most likely the website that you're applying on will ask you for all that stuff. But just in case, your resume, because your resume will get handed around to people. So having that stuff in there is a good idea. Next up, having a website. I know I've mentioned this a lot about the website. First, you want to make it clean. All right. I know this. If you're using ArtStation or any type of like free website, most likely you don't have a lot of control over building your website. But if you are building your own website, like let's say you know how to do that, and like that's and you're comfortable with it, make it clean. Okay. I don't want to go into your website, have a bunch of GIFs, however you want to pronounce it, GIFs pop up, and music, and picture of your dog. Like that stuff isn't important to me. Just make what you need, what you want to show, put it up there, make it clean. I want to be able to navigate it as well. If I'm looking for your demo reel or your portfolio, I don't want to have to click more than 2 times to it. Know that as a person who is looking at portfolios and resumes, I mean, I'm going through a list of like probably 200-300 people, and I don't have a lot of time, okay? So if I have to go through your website and your website's frustrating to navigate, I'm gonna move on to the next website because, you're wasting my time basically. I don't want to sound mean about it, but like that's kind of that's the fact of the matter. Contact information is a must. Once again, on your personal website, not so much like on like ArtStation or anything like that. But if you are doing a personal website, put your email in there, or at least have some way for the studio to contact you, because maybe your like recruiters are going around looking for people. Recruiters will contact you. I have gotten multiple emails.
What?
Forever.
No, don't read those emails.
It's crazy. Like it's crazy when you are in the industry and things like that. Recruiters are looking for you, so they will send you emails if you have your information out there. So sometimes you might just get lucky and say, "Oh, hey, I'm a recruiter for Blizzard," and it's not an actual solicitation. Or it's like, "I'm a recruiter. and we are looking for people. Are you interested in them?
And Ash says
So,
no.
Yeah.
Ash is like, I'm a Gearbox person. Yeah, we had one of our VFX artists show us like their recruitment emails, and I think he was getting one like a couple times a week.
Yeah, headhunters are out there. So if you're on, especially if you're on LinkedIn, and you are like, hey, I'm looking for work, they will find you. Okay, they're making it a lot easier to find jobs, basically. Make on your website, make contact info and demo easy to find. This is what I was saying earlier about making stuff clean. I want to be able to find your stuff. That's basically the fact of the matter. Like, bottom line, I want to be able to find your reel, and I want to be able to contact you. Now, when you're apply everywhere. I say this to people, especially when they're first starting out, because as you heard my story earlier, you never know. One studio may not want you, then another studio might the next day. So apply everywhere, but know who you're applying to. Don't just start throwing your resume and be like, I'll go there, I'll go there. Like, know where you're going first and then apply, but don't be discouraged if the job application says 5 years experience. Okay? You never know. Put your resume in there anyways, okay?
I'm going to caveat one thing with that. Be careful when you're applying. So like at Gearbox, we can see like how many jobs you've applied for in the past. So it's fine if you're like, I want to be a level designer, and you apply to level design or lighting or VFX or something like that. That's fine. That's normal. But if all of a sudden like I'm looking at it and I've got like, this guy wants to be in publishing, and he also wants to be the senior art director, and he also wants to be a junior animator, and they also like, we look at that and we're like, what is this person doing? So it's really confusing, and like companies kind of get a little like, oh, like this person wants to be the receptionist, but also like a senior art designer. Like it sounds like they just want to work at Gearbox. Like, but what are they really showing? So like again, it's like fine to be like, if it's all within like the same kind of pipeline, like yeah, VFX, lighting,
Yeah.
whatever, animation. But like again, if it's just like totally random, like any job that the company throws up you're applying for, we can see that. So just be judicious, I would say.
Yeah. Be smart about it. Also, research the company, right? Know what the company does, like know what kind of games they make. If you are better, like if you're a concept artist and you're like, hey, I prefer to draw realistic, realistic people, superheroes and things like that. Don't apply to a company that focuses on monsters, as I was saying earlier. Because it's like, well, I can't really concept monsters too well. They're not really going to want you because you can't do what they need you to do. Research the company. Also, it's good to research the company and just know the company's history. If the company has, if they've had a bad history of just not keeping people, or people working there for 3 months and then getting fired or leaving, there might be a reason for that. So research the studio, research the company, know what you're getting into first. Add a cover letter. This is helpful because it also it's an introduction of yourself to someone who doesn't know you. Now, with the introduction of AI, I recommend using AI to write a cover letter. But don't keep that as your cover letter, okay? Use it as a jumping off point, because me personally, I hate writing cover letters. I do not enjoy it. I think it's a pain, and it takes up a lot of my day. At least with AI, ChatGPT, whatever you want to use, get a baseline in there. It'll take 3 seconds. But then use that, edit it, go through it, and make sure that it is you. Don't just send out a ChatGPT cover letter, because someone's going to look at that and go, hey, I've seen this before. Someone else sent this yesterday. Okay, this person's lazy. Toss.
Hey,
right?
work smart, not hard, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, work smarter, not harder. Okay, doing this stuff takes time. All right, I'm not gonna lie to you. When you're looking for a job, they say, hey, looking for a job is a job. And when I was looking for my first job, I was literally doing this like 8-9 hours a day, just sending out resumes, typing up my cover letter, making it more, making it editable, and basically tailoring it to each studio, which is not a bad idea. If you are going out and sending cover letters to studios, tailor your cover letter to the studio. Have a template, okay? Because it's going to waste a lot of time if you want to rewrite your cover letter every time you apply to a studio. Have a template, all right? Put in some bullet points. Say you want to go into Gearbox, know that we make these really highly stylized games. Tailor your cover letter about, hey, I know how to make stylized games. I've done XYZ concept drawings. This is what I can do. I can do stylized stuff. Send it over there. Let's say you want to go Blizzard, and you want to work on first-person shooters. You're like, okay, well, hey, I've done this first-person shooter, blah, 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 same template, send it over there, okay? Tailor your cover letter, all right?
I used to play Borderlands with my younger brother,
Yeah.
6 hours every weekend, and maybe want to be in the industry. I'm a sucker for that stuff in a cover letter. Oh my God, I love it.
Yeah. Use your resources. So basically, as Chris was saying earlier, network. Know some people. Talk around. Send out emails. Say, hey, I know that you work at so and so. Is there anyone hiring? Is there anyone I can talk to? Is there an email I can get? Right now, me and Lou are here. We work at Gearbox. Networking. Okay. So use your resources.
But don't just email someone every time you just want a job. Try and be a little bit more sensitive about
Yeah.
it. Like with Ash and I, if you're gonna email us and be like, hey, whatever. That's the dynamic of our relationship. But I have some people that I went to college with, and they're like, I haven't spoken to them in years, and they're like, hey Lou, do you want to go grab coffee? And I'm like, no, because I don't have time to grab coffee with anybody. But I'm like, because I know they just want to talk to me about getting a job. And it's just be careful about how you network. Networking is important, but you want to be sensitive, and you want to be strategic, and you want to make sure that you're not just hitting up a person just anytime a job opens up, unless that's the dynamic that you guys have. But if it's your best friend you haven't spoken to in 6 years, and all of a sudden you're asking hey, they work at Blizzard, you haven't spoken to them in 6 years, you didn't even wish them congratulations on your wedding, if you're hitting him up for a job, that's not too savvy. So you want to make sure that you're nurturing relationships in a healthy way. And again, some relationships are very transactional.
Yeah.
It's just some of them are hey, I haven't spoken to my best friend, Jeff, and then he emails you and is like, oh, is Gearbox hiring? And you're just go on, Lord, I haven't spoken to you in years.
Also, I put an asterisk next to this one of cleaning up your social media. This is more so
I don't want to see your spring break photos.
Yeah, no, yeah, because it's you can have, it's fine to have social media and be yourself, but at the same time, we look at stuff like that, and it will influence if I want to spend 8 hours a day with you. Not greatly, but if I go on Twitter and I see that you're posting pictures of you, kicking your dog, I'm not going to want to hang out with you, okay? That's, if, political stuff, it's fine. I mean, everyone has their opinions, but it's don't post. Basically, if I go on your social media and I look at this and go, this person seems kind of like a jerk. I'm not going to want to hang out with them. So think about it. It's just like I said, there's an asterisk next to it. That's why it's it's my recommendation.
We had some guy send us his TikTok and part of his resume, and we were like, oh my gosh, he has a TikTok. That's exciting. And this was for a production role, but it was just his gym videos, and we're like, I don't know what to do with that.
Yeah,
So-
that's weird, but it's not a deal breaker. But that's weird.
Yeah, we didn't know what to. It was just him with a tank top on, lifting things, and I'm like, we don't really lift a lot of things in production.
You remember though?
I remember being weirded out.
Yeah. Question.
So what about the inverse? I don't use social media hardly ever. So is that also a?
Not really.
Nah.
Okay.
It's more of just because
I have a LinkedIn.
yeah, basically, it's that's why I put an asterisk, because it's not going to be a deal breaker. It's just me going, I wonder if this person has a LinkedIn. Because obviously we're going to want to interview you, and that's where we're going to really feel your personality. But like I said, if I go on Facebook, I see you on Facebook, I see you on Twitter, and you're burning things down and being laughing like a maniac, I'm this guy might be unhinged.
Or
I don't know if I want to interview.
you're talking shit about the company you're interviewing at. We've had that a few times.
Yeah.
Where I've gone back and I've looked at their Twitter, and they're like, oh, Gearbox, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just oh, that's something to talk about in an interview.
Yeah, so
This
you
tweet
wanna-
that you wrote.
stuff to just think about,
Don't be toxic.
Yeah, don't be toxic.
It's a very small industry. We all do kind of know people who know people who know people.
Yeah, it's a big industry, but it's tight knit, so to speak.
Yeah, but I don't have any social media stuff just because I'm always very careful about that. But we don't go digging for it unless you guys provide us the stuff for most of the time. Unless I type in your name and go, like, I think I was like, who's this Christopher guy who's like asking us to come talk to the school? So like, yeah, I tried to find him on LinkedIn. I think you saw it. It was just like, someone's looking at your LinkedIn. So it's just like, yeah, I like to know a little bit, but like, we don't go digging around on like
Yeah.
your Facebook and stuff like that. So like the fact that I saw someone's spring break photos mean that they put it somewhere that they wanted me to see those, and I'm like, that's weird.
Yeah.
They
Also,
drink a lot of beer really fast.
sending a follow-up email. This is, yeah. After about wait like 2 weeks. If you don't hear back from the studio, just drop a follow-up email, because people are,
3 days, few days.
2 days?
Few days.
a few days, okay.
Keep it,
I usually
keep it
wait,
that fresh.
I usually wait like a week or so, just because like,
That's good.
I know people are busy, and people will be interviewing a lot.
Wait, is this post-interview? Thank you?
Post-interview.
Post-interview, thank you.
No, so this is after you sent in the resume.
Okay, then wait 3
Yeah.
days. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, this isn't post-interview. Post-interview, 2 days. When you've sent in a resume, if you haven't heard back from anybody, send them an email. If there is a contact information for someone in HR, send a follow-up email. Do not email someone directly. Like if you go on LinkedIn or whatever and you see that, hey, this person works at the department that I'm applying for, don't email that person. Like, do not email the dev.
Or send them cookies.
Yeah, because that is
That was a good one
a
first.
little bit crossing the line, because they don't know you. But it is okay to send like HR an email, because that is the HR department. That is their job to be hiring. Okay, they are your first contact when you are applying. Send them an email and just say, hey, I applied, just wanted to get an update on my resume just to see if there's any forward movement. Something like that. Something really simple, 2 seconds. Drop your portfolio in there. Maybe you can even link your resume again if you feel like it. It's not necessary, but just something to say like, hey, I applied. Is there any forward movement? Can I get some information, okay? Just as like a quick reminder. Now, when you're interviewing, you put in the resume, you're getting for the interview. When you go in, dress appropriately, as Lou had mentioned earlier. Know the studio, if it's like a kind of a chill type of studio, going in with a 3-piece suit, not a deal breaker, but it's a little overkill. Okay, wear something nice. Don't look like you just woke up, rolled out of bed, and show up in your pajamas. That's not cool. Just wear something presentable. Be clean. Take a shower. All right.
Brush your teeth.
Brush your teeth. Yeah, they look good. Follow up, as we were just saying. Follow up a few weeks after. I should change this to 2 days. Send out a thank you card. Just follow up. In fact, one thing I used to do is whenever I interviewed, I'd have thank you cards in my bag with a letter, an actual thank you card letter, and already stamped, written with the address of the person, and I would write the names of the people that I interviewed with, okay, and just write it on the card. Thank you,
I
blah
would
blah
so
blah,
hire you if you did that.
thank you blah 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 for interviewing me. I really appreciate the opportunity. Drop it in the mail right when you leave, because why not? So you don't forget. Just boom, drop it in the mail. They're gonna get that card. Now that you're on their mind. Okay. There may be an art test. This is from the art side. Okay. Hardcore chance there will be an art test. Unless you're like a senior, you've got 15 years in the industry, most likely. I don't like giving art tests for senior artists because they've already proven that they can do what they need to do. If you're a junior, starting out, good chance there's going to be an art test. Be prepared for that. Okay. Some art tests aren't timed, some are. They may say, or get it back to us in 2 days, 2 weeks, whatever, or get it back to us whenever. On the art test, do your best work, okay? We understand that you may not have access to the same software that you had at school or at your last job. Houdini costs a lot of money. You may not be able to make Sims anymore. I get it. If you on the art test, if you have to purchase an asset from the Unreal Marketplace, tell me. Let me know. Explain why you had to purchase that asset. Okay? So you're like, hey, I don't have money for Maya. I can't make Sims anymore, so I had to purchase a Sim. Let me know so I don't look at that and go, well, this person just bought this. They obviously don't know what they're doing. Okay?
So if you did an art test and they give you like a really untenable due date, they're like, hey, we need this art test back in like 3 days, and you're like, okay, cool, I have a full-time job and a family or whatever.
Yeah.
I feel free to negotiate with that studio a little bit, be like, hey, like, I'm super into this. could I have just like a couple of extra days, I am working full-time right now or something like that. We're generally very amenable to that. And if you do that and a studio is like absolutely not, that might be a little bit of a red flag for that studio.
And that's it. Sorry.
That's Q&A for Ashley and Lily and stuff.
On the art test, will they like, not knock points, but like if you use Blender? Because
No.
I specifically didn't get into Maya because I knew I wouldn't have access to it after December.
I do not care what software you use to get the results that you need. Just know that most studios, because when I went to school, I learned Maya. Okay, that was what we learned. Everyone said you're gonna need to learn Maya. I get out to the industry, everyone uses 3ds Max. If you know one software, you can learn.
Yeah, be sort of software agnostic, it's fine. Like, and then you get to proprietary software and you're like, you have to learn it anyway. And anything you learn in school is gonna be out of date fairly quickly software-wise, so
Yeah.
you need to train yourself how to learn.
Especially if
Stuff
you
in software.
go into the effects realm, the software gets updated every year. Like everything that I know now is already old, and I learned it like yesterday. So
Gosh, you worked Saturday this week, right?
yeah. Anything else? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I was gonna say, when sending in like resumes or applications, does it matter if you send it in on a weekend or a weekday?
No, I mean it all goes to the same people.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I didn't know, like on a weekend, would you have to expect like a longer wait time for them to get back to you or no? Okay.
What would a art test like include?
Was that?
What would an art test include? Like, I've never heard of one.
All right, so for VFX, when we ask for an art test, we essentially give you 3 options to create something. Say, like, I will ask you to make 3 effects, and say pick two out of these 3, and then we would ask for your the art files, and basically just to see all of your work and kind of explain your process and like, the idea behind what you made.
Thank you.
Yes.
How often do y'all hire somebody who this is gonna be like their first studio?
All the time. I do
Yeah.
personally.
We actually we've hired a few people that has been their first job. One of our most recent hires, I think Lynn. Was it her first job?
Yeah, I think it was her first.
First-ish.
Yeah.
She was international, but yeah, because we had someone on our team. She's been with us for almost 3 years now. At least we were her first big AAA studio. But her work was amazing, even though she was a junior artist. And we knew that she was a junior, so we weren't expecting like great, awesome stuff. It was like when we saw it, we were blown away, and we picked her up. Yeah. Yes.
To piggyback off that, when you guys are hiring noobs, and their work necessarily isn't that good for obvious reasons, what are some of the things that you look for in addition to that?
Personally, I am looking for someone that looks like they can be teachable. Someone that looks like they have the seeds of a great artist, the eye for like color, timing, things like that. Basically someone that looks like if I were to ask them to do something, they would be able to give me something decent, not amazing, not perfect, but something that I could look at and say, oh, hey, I see what you did here, but if you did X, Y, Z, it would make it so much better. And they would take that, do it, learn, and just grow as an artist. So basically someone that I look at that I know that they'd be able to grow and develop, and I would be able to teach them with that.
What would you say from a producer?
So about 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, we did a really, not 3 years ago, we did a really big hiring push for production. And I was putting together my team, and we ended up hiring a bunch of producers, and I hired 5 fresh in the industry guys. And the things that I looked for, number one, was like transferable skills. So one of the people that I hired, she used to work in museums as a docent, but she used to run a summer camp. And I'm like, you can run a summer camp, you can run a production team, because Sometimes our gens can be a little bit like cockroaches or whatever. So transferable skills are a big thing. Emotional intelligence is a big thing. You know, and when I was working in animation and we were hiring people, like I want people that are excited to be there and to learn. Like when you do an interview, you want to be like the best version of yourself. You just want to be yourself. So I don't like it when people who are junior kind of come in with this like I already know like a lot and you're like, hey, well, what if we try to do this? And they're like, okay, well, like I kind of feel like I already know how to do all that. It's just like curiosity, I think, is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
If you have someone who's curious and interested in learning, but if you're trying to hire a junior or someone fresh and they're like, I know everything, just like, okay, cool, like piss off. I don't want to deal with that because I want someone who's hungry and wants to be mentored. A question that I like to ask in interviews is like, what, in order to thrive, like what type of manager do you work best with? And I get a lot of really interesting notes from that from people who are like, hey, I want someone who's interested in mentoring, or I want someone who's interested in this. But like, if I get, it's just like, I just want someone who leaves me alone. I'm like, man, as a junior, you do not want to be left alone. You want someone to teach you. So yeah, I think just people are open and curious and personable. And
One thing I will say is also, during interviews, a question that I like to ask, especially mostly for junior level artists, is on a level of 1 to 10, how do you rate your knowledge with Unreal? Or even I'll say like Niagara or Material Editor. And that's not so much a question. It's not really a trick question. It's not even a question that I'm looking for a good answer, or I'm not really looking for your knowledge. I'm looking for the answer that you're going to give. So if you're a junior and you say, oh, I have a 9 on Unreal, I'm like, no, you're not. Because I've been using Unreal for 12-something years, and I know I'm not a 9. Like, I rate myself like an 8, okay? And if you say, well, I'm a 9 or 10 at knowing Unreal, I'm like, okay, yeah, you think you know Unreal, but you don't. If someone says, I'm probably a 3 or 4, I mean, during an interview, saying you're a 3 or 4, trying to get a job, that's guts. That takes guts. That's saying like, well, I don't know what I don't know, and I'm willing to learn. So that's just so you all know if someone does ask you that question. Saying that you're a 3 or 4 is fine. It's like you're a junior. You're not supposed to know everything. I know that you don't know everything, and that's fine. But don't say you're a 10 at knowing Unreal, because even the people that make Unreal probably don't even consider themselves a 10.
So be confident about your abilities.
Yeah, be confident
but
that
humble
you.
and eager to learn.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody knows everything, not even Ash.
Yeah.
And I know everything, but that's
Be pretty mad if you get into the workplace. I thought you said you were a 9. You're starting your like brains melting.
Right. It's like, just, know what you know, and be comfortable saying you don't know.
Yeah, it's like, hey, I don't know that, but I'm really eager to learn.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
All right, interactive portion of this presentation. Okay, so I spend, or I used to, when we were doing a lot more hiring, a good portion of my time looking at resumes, and I have made what I'm calling like a red flag resume. So I'm going to open it up. You guys can take a second to look at it, and then I want to hear what you guys think are some red flags. Now, the biggest red flag was that I went into Word and I just used their base template, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is so dodgy. All right. This is not a real person. This is a fake resume that I have made. But take a look at it. And then I think Ash probably gave some hints as to what some red flags were. Or just like not, but some of them are just not best practices. So yeah, take a few moments. And when you're ready, someone put your paw up. And yes.
A couple of things. Just say one thing.
Give me 2 things.
2 things? Okay. Her photo, it's not really relevant. It's nice to know who you're seeing, but again, not really relevant. And her skills, I don't know why they're kink underneath, or maybe as a design.
So I love people who jump in and are ambitious and want to talk. So here's some swag food from Gearbox.
Thank
Nice
you.
on that.
So,
I know Ash You were next, Ryan. What do you got?
I also was going to point out the skills, but I was going to use the term unquantifiable skills because the bar scene in her mind, she's like, oh, this is my level of proficiency, but you as a person who's reading is like, it's just a bar. This means nothing. Another thing also, her address is there, which.
That's another way to get axe murdered. Putting your address on documents you don't know where they're gonna go. All right, Ryan. I think that's good. Good. Are you a Wonderlands fan?
I've dabbled.
Are you a Dungeons and Dragons fan?
I make my own tabletop games.
Here you go. Here's a nice little Dungeons and Dragons book for you. Look at that. Who else? What else is I got in this bag? All right. Yeah. So let's talk about a couple of things we just spoke about. Don't put your photo on your resume that you're sending out to studios. Number one, it opens up studios to liability. We want to be as unbiased as possible, but unconscious bias is a thing, and if we see a photo, who knows? So I always, when I look at resumes, I don't even look at people's names. I block those out. I have a little thing on my monitor. I put it on the monitor. I don't want to see your name. I don't want to know anything about you except the things on your resume. Another thing is, like, if you're putting a photo on a resume, a lot of companies now are using AI to vet resumes. Gearbox, we don't do that. A lot of companies do, and the problem with the photo and with this little skills thing down here, AI might not know what that is and might just like shoot your resume out. So don't put any sort of like non-text things on your resume because an AI might just be like, I don't know what that is, spit it out. Don't put your address on there. There's some other really big red flags in here. What else we got? Yeah.
I was gonna say in the experience they talk about like junior artist, intern, but like the description says worked with cross-functional teams, including marketing, project development. It goes on, but it never talks about what they actually did.
Very good. Vague things. Can you tell me some more about, since you're digging around in that section? What else you got? Also, you got a choice. Do you want pins or do you want tarot cards?
Pins.
You want pins?
You don't want to know the future?
These are Wonderland tarot cards. Pins for you?
Maybe I'll switch it up.
Okay, there's still some pins up for grab. If someone can catch the thing that will annoy me the most, you guys will get the pin. Yes?
There's several spelling mistakes.
Yes, you caught the thing that pisses me off the most. My goodness, please spell check your resume. In fact, I made this. I sent it to one of the other producers to have them look it over. They found a typo that I didn't even intentionally put in there. So it happens to the best of us. Take it into Word. Make sure there's no typos. I think that was the lost of my swag, but that shouldn't discourage you guys from, unless anyone wants some old Altoids, or like my old lanyard. Yes, thank you. The typos, please. My sister once gave George Lucas a business card that said student instead of student. So always check your stuff. Yeah. Okay, so also another thing. They put the year they graduated high school. Don't do that. That opens you up to all sorts of like weird stuff. Studios don't want to be accused of like hiring age bias or anything like that. We don't need to know the year that you graduated high school. Don't put it on there. Anyone notice anything about the email on there and why that's a problem?
That's not professional.
Kiki.
It's not a professional
What?
email.
Sarah Moon, Superfan84 is not, that was my email. No, it's not, never. Don't use your weird email that you use for your Discord channel or whatever. First, initial last name, whatever is fine, or like so-and-so dot whatever. But don't put like Yu-Gi-Oh! Best game ever 2024 or whatever. Don't do that. Okay, so there's a few more things in here, but they're like kind of like, you only really notice if you've been doing this for a long time, but I'll see if a few of you get any more. Does anybody else notice any other red flags? Yes?
Her art director experience is not really experience in art directing because it says copywriters, producers.
Yeah, they didn't tailor their resume properly. And that happens all the time. Oh man, like I put a thing a while ago, it was wild, where someone was just like using other people's stuff in their resume. And like, I was weirded out by it, so I put some stuff into the old Google box and it was just like some other people's stuff. And I'm like, what? So yeah, it's not really like making sense. To be honest, part of that was also just part of like the Google thing that I copied over from Outlook, from Word. So yeah, that's one. What else? I saw more hands up.
Is it bad that they've worked at so many places in 4 years?
Depends, and as in an interview, we would talk about that, and that's something that you guys should be prepared to talk about in an interview. In our industry, it's normal to jump around. As I said, Gearbox is a little bit weird because like Ash has been there 1,000 years, I've been there 8 years. One of the animators has been there since like 1999. We say Gearbox is everyone's first and third job because people will stay, they'll go get another job, realize they like us, and then come back. But you just need to be prepared to talk about it. It's like, hey, maybe the studio closed, or it was like a contract gig or something like that. It's not a huge red flag, but it is something that they might ask about, so to be prepared for that. Yeah, good. What else? Yes?
I thought their font for the 3D modeler was really small, it doesn't stand out as much.
Okay. That's probably a Lou thing more than that, but I think it's good that like some people might be like, is this a font for ants? Like what is that? You guys are too young for that reference.
Zoolander.
Oh, thank goodness, okay. What else? Anyone else?
I already did. Too much white space.
All right, you have hit on the thing that I was concerned about. Ash's resume was really, really good because it was to the point. Now, okay, I once did interview someone because they talked about in their resume how much they liked raising frogs, and I thought that was kind of fun. And they had frogs all over their resume, and I liked it. Okay, so the reason this resume is really, really bad is, okay, the average recruiter person, you get 8 seconds to get them like into your resume. You want to put all the important stuff on the left. Now, every person will tell you something different, but this is kind of what I've been taught, and just from my experience of doing resumes for so long. Your school may tell you something different, your best friend may tell you something different. This is coming from me, do with that what you will, it is not gospel, but on average, the average recruiter will give a resume a quick glance, 8 seconds. So you want to put all your most important stuff on the left. The language used in this resume is like, and I had to go through and change some of this, is like, worked on project. You want to use very powerful ownership language. So, okay, so you, Ryan, have worked on, Ryan, yes, Ryan. You're working on, was it Falcon, or what's the name of the project?
Noir.
Noir, okay. What's your role on Noir?
I'm a narrative world builder.
Okay, so you're a narrative world builder. Are you the only narrative world builder?
I'm one of 6.
Okay, so, you don't want to be like, hey, I worked as a narrative world builder. You want to say like I don't know your exact role, but like I drove this initiative or I built this thing. You want to use like very like action grabby. I actually looked at your CV. You have a very good CV. You use very action good words, Christopher, because I looked at it the other day. And I was like, this man uses very powerful language in his CV. Because when you read it, it's not like, hey, I was just kind of floating along making this thing. It's like, I was an active participant in all these projects, and I drove things, and I created things, and my brain's a little sleepy right now, but like, you want to use those type of words. And like, this is a very like passive resume. It's like, you don't look at that. So yeah, keep it to the left. And then, yeah, don't put your email. That's weird. Don't put your home address. The objective, kind of make it interesting. Look at the job posting that you're going to be filing in for. Because like at Gearbox, our big things are like creativity, happiness, are really big things. So you want to, if you're applying to Gearbox and like that's a big part of it, you want to talk about like creativity or something. Some people will recommend that you look at a job posting and put like key words or phrases in your resume. Again, for us, it's not really a huge deal because we personally read all ours, but again, like there might be some like AI thing that might help you with, but with us, it's not really a huge deal, but again, there's that. And again, yeah, don't put weird images and stuff on there. No one cares. No one does. I think it doesn't mean anything, right? You're longer pink line in art skills than you are in Maya. I don't know what to do with that. You can put personality in them, but just make sure that it's not like overpowering and it's not harmful to the information that you have. And I think, and there's typos and everything in that. So I think you guys caught most of them. Yeah, any questions, comments? Yes?
Do y'all like to see hyperlinks that take you to like a portfolio or a LinkedIn?
Oh,
or anything like
I
that?
love a good hyperlink.
Okay.
Some companies won't allow you to do that. Ash might be afraid of getting a
No.
virus.
So, no, I just want to mention with the hyperlinks. I don't know if this is only specific for the software that we use, but sometimes I'll click a hyperlink and it won't work. So having a hyperlink in your resume is fine. I mean, I got them in mind, but just know that put your resume or put your portfolios like other places as well.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, it's not and again, some software, depending on which software we use to open it, might not allow for hyperlinks, so don't use that as your only source
Like
of.
doc versus a PDF or something.
Yeah. And then just make sure it hyperlinks to the right thing. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
We've had some doozies.
Don't rickroll the people.
I don't know, I might interview someone who rickrolled me in their resume. I might just to see what it feels like. What else? Any questions?
So it is okay to like hyperlink your ArtStation, or at least have your name so that if they want to look at you, well, of course your name's on there, but
Yeah.
would you put like links, like
You should at
or-
least have it so I can at least copy and paste it into
Okay.
the Google Box or whatever.
Okay.
The Edge, whatever we use at work these days. But yeah, I think hyperlinks are fine. You just have to be careful because again, like you don't know what portal they're using to access it, and some don't let you because they're so afraid like you're gonna like steal all our information or
Yeah,
something. So
virus phone.
yeah. Don't send stuff to the studios, by the way. It freaks us out. Like someone kept sending the VFX team cookies, and we're like, no, we're not eating those. Stranger danger. Don't show up at the studios. We'll call security on you. We had this one guy who used to sit outside of the cafe with his book on like how to make games, and we would all just be like, okay, kind of weird this out, dude. So yeah, I know some people are like, your parents are like, you gotta be creative and get their attention, walk in with a resume.
They're not the CEO.
It's like, no, we got a security guy at our front desk. He's gonna be like, what are you doing here? And you have to we have a whole system to get in, so don't do that. Any other questions about resumes or interviewing or?
What would your preferred length be? 1 page, 2 page?
Yeah, I think anything more than 2 pages is a bit much.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm like a 1 to 2 page. Like I think this would be kind of a short resume because this is like a very entry level. Well, I mean, she's got art director. I have questions about Alex's names.
Alex Name.
I don't know what her last name is, but I was just trying to figure out like a name. I was just like, what do I put for this last person's name? I don't want to pick on anybody, but yeah, it depends. Like Ash's resume, Ash has been in the industry a long time, and he never needs to update his resume ever again. Ash, you should just burn that. You don't need it. You're stuck with your box forever. So, again, for me, it's like when I hire juniors or people who have not worked in the industry, I don't mind seeing that you worked at Costco, or I don't mind that you were like a dog groomer, because I'm going to ask you about it. I hired someone who was a barista because I'm like, I was interviewing them, and they were talking about being a barista during the pandemic, like the first few weeks of the pandemic, and they were just like stressed, and their clients were just really like in their faces all the time, and I'm like, this is someone who works well under pressure. So again, it's like depending on the role that you're going for. So again, like Ash and I kind of look for different things. When I really enjoy doing interviews with Ash because we both look for very different things in like VFX candidates. And so Ash will ask a lot of technical questions, and I'll be like, if you had to take Claptrap to lunch, where would you take them? And they'll be like, and I ask that, so number one, like, do they even know what Borderlands is, and how much do they know? So yeah, I think colors, I don't really care about colors, they're fine. Again, like, if you've been someone who's in the industry for like 20 years, yeah, maybe your resume is gonna look a little more streamlined. If you're new to it, it's fine to have some colors and stuff in there. I don't think anyone's gonna be terribly turned, but again, just make sure that you're using like text so an AI program doesn't just like eat it. Yeah. Anybody else? Yeah, back there.
Some of our students have more like traditional mixed media art and whatnot. Is that okay for them to put on there? Would you prefer that to just all be on an art station?
That should be on the portfolio.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't want to put any of your artwork on
Fair enough. Okay.
the resume.
It's more like, they've worked on a TV show and they've done like costume design and stuff.
Yeah, I put that on the portfolio. And like typically, it's interesting, like a resume kind of goes through several steps. Like usually like a recruiter will look at it first, although I've told the recruiters I don't want them looking at my resumes, just give me all the resumes.
Yeah.
I'm also a speed reader, so I can read through them like really well. I'm just like, because I also know what I'm looking for, and I don't think the recruiters know specifically what I'm looking for.
Right.
Like when I hired Stuart, again, I met Stuart at an event just like this, and then like a year later, he's like, I'm gonna work at Gearbox, and I'm like, I don't remember this guy, but maybe I do. And then I met him, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And then he mentioned recreational spreadsheets that he made, and I'm just like, hire this kid. So, yeah, and the reason why he was excited to be a producer was because someone else said producers need portfolios, and I'm like, nope. And I just saw this guy sit up straight, and he's just like, I found my new career. But yeah, I would say don't put that on your resume.
How detailed should we get with like our experience? Because I only have the 2 games that I've worked on in the 2 semesters that I've been in. So like in this one, I've done a lot of 3D modeling. So should I just say like 3D modeler, kind of lead? There was another role.
What type of role are you like anticipating of applying for? Like
Either something with 3D modeling or environment art, because I'm really getting into full environments now.
Yeah, so there's a lot of ways to do it. The point of the resume is so that I understand what your experience is, right? And so you can say like, hey, I was the sole modeler of this student project, and I made like 2 player characters, 5,000 rocks, whatever. So you can sort of like list that out, especially if you don't have like a lot of experience. You can sort of like bullet point like, hey, I did this. Like that's cool, especially if you have some like really cool achievements. If you're like, hey, I'm a coder and I figured out the physics system, like a way to sort of like pinpoint that. So yeah, I think you can get detail, especially if you only have like 2 games. Like there's not a lot on there. You can, but again, like if you're Ash's level, your Ash is not going to be like, I made 30,000 emitters, and I was just like, Ash, yes, you made 30,000 emitters, but like Ash would be like, I led a AAA team on multiple projects for X amount of years. So Ash would not be like, I made this model or that model or. Yeah. There's no wrong. I also like people get really hung up like there's no wrong answers, and every recruiter is going to look at these a little bit differently. I'm just telling you from my experience, but like unless you're putting something like really bland in there, I think people are okay with detail. Just don't like write, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times.
Great book, by the way.
Read it. What is it?
Tale of Two Cities.
A Tale of Two Cities. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, last question.
I heard about the one city. I don't know about the other one. Yeah. Yes.
What's something that would kind of be like impressive on a resume?
Well, what type of resume? Are we talking junior, mid-tier?
Junior.
Okay, fresh out of college, what would be impressive?
Or like something that would make the applicant stand out.
I think for me, it's so let's say if you were to submit like a resume and you're like, hey, I worked on this game, I want to know, like, I think the details of like what you did on the game are important. If you're going for a production role, what goes on your resume is going to be a lot more important than what goes in your portfolio. And your portfolio should probably be more important than your, like if you're entry level, your portfolio is probably the stronger part, right? I don't know.
In entry level, I would emphasize more on the portfolio versus the resume because entry level, I would expect you not to have much experience.
Yeah, I think if you're going to be applying for like an art role or something, like I don't know if there's much you could do to your resume to be like, I think throw some personality into it is fine. Like again, like I hired someone because they like frogs, and they had a frog and they named the frog and they told me the name of the frog, and I'm just like I once hired someone because they ran a Quidditch team. One of the best hires I ever made, but they were captain of a Quidditch team, and I'm like, cool, they made a team, and yeah, they're running around on brooms, weird, but like, they ran a thing. So, yeah, on a resume, if you can show any sort of like initiative or leadership skills, problem solving is really important. But for like an art, your portfolio is probably going to speak louder than, pictures worth 1,000 words type thing. So.